4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, folks. It is Eclipse Night Eve, or whatever you want to call it. We've got Boss Man here, and how you doing, my man? Hey, hey, boss. Could you actually turn your camera sideways to make the screen wider?
To make it wider?
Yeah, because you have black bars on either side, like this. So it's narrow from my end. So I'm wondering if you could turn it horizontally, so that we get a what's called a 16 by 9 resolute.
Give me a second, then.
Sure.
I gotta go do adjusting stuff though, because I don't know where the hell my stand is. I haven't been on this show in a minute, but give me a second, bro.
Okay, cool.
Give me a second.
All right, cool. All right. Hello, everybody. We are in a mid-adjustment. I think that's Bauce's finger. While he's adjusting his finger. Oh, you know what? Still, you know, go. It's okay. Now you're sideways, and the screen is.
I don't know how to do all that.
Okay,
bro.
so I'll keep it that way. That's cool. No worries. No worries.
Yeah. No sweat.
All right. So I'm going to the watch page now. Hello, everybody. And once again, I don't know if this is related to the eclipse or what, but we have a very bad connection. So if this buffers YouTubers, people on YouTube, I apologize. But there's something definitely going on that's causing this, and bad connection thing. So hold on a second. I'm going to try to make sure that this is clear. Oh, now I went from bad to poor. And welcome to, once we get everything in place where you can see Bauce, this is going to be outstanding. I want to thank everybody who participated in my interview with the legendary Esai Morales, who is running for Screen Actors Guild. Yeah, see, it says bad again. Bad stream, so we're just going to wide through it and view on the watch page. Again, I don't know why that is, but it just is. And we're going to bring back Bauce. Hello, Karen. Say hello. Hello. But it just is. And we're going to bring back Bauce. Hello, Karen. There we are. Okay. Say hello. Hello. I'm going to move this over just a little bit, and there we are. Bring back Bauce. And I'm going to tweet this out. There we are. I want to put myself on mute. Hello. I'm going to move this over just a... Yep. So I don't hear myself twice. And then I'm going to tweet this out so we can get rolling. And Karen says a lot of people are traveling to Salem and Salem, Oregon. Yeah, Salem, Oregon, and also Jackson Hole, Wyoming. But get this, Karen, we're only 60 miles from the eclipse path. 60 miles. 60 miles. And yes, I will be making my own live stream tomorrow from here. Rick Rice. Rick Rice is here. Rick Rice, the Eclipse Man. How's that one? I like that one. Rick. Now I'm going to put that out. And then I'm going to put out hashtag Raiders. And then hashtag NFL. And hashtag Oakland. Hashtag Oakland. Oakland. And we will return to our special guest, Bauce Man. So we are here. I'm going to center this up a little bit forward like that. Okay. Joseph True says, hello, Bauce and Zinni. Hennessy says, hey, Zinni. Karen Christensen says, hello, Bauce and everyone. Hennessy says, what's up, Boss and Zinni. T. Cooper is in the house. Sup, Bauce Man? He says, from the champ. The champ is here. Rick Rice is here.
Yeah.
Silver and Black. Oh, one thing I want to do before I forget my my duties with respect to, well, Bauce is one of my investors, so I'm going to make sure that that's right, put this dealie out here. And as I say dealie, it is the usual link to the PayPal page, to which I write down here. First, invest at hello, and then invest. All right. Now we get to where I can talk to Bauce. We officially, ML Scott, how are you? Rico Johnson is in. He says, "What's cracking, boss?" Rico Johnson is in.
What's up, RJ? RJ.
Rico Johnson. And I'm going to make one thing. Okay. And Barry Lee is in the house. Wow. I'm going to do one thing real quick. I'm going to shut this off. Okay. Hopefully that fan makes... Okay, cool. I shut off the electronics behind me so the connection is better. Now, this is your platform, my friend. Let's talk. First of all, the Raiders lost last night. I know you. Is it correct to say that you boycotted the games? You're done, right?
That's more than correct. I wouldn't step foot in that place though to save my life. To see all that fakeness, to see people just accept being a lame duck fan base. I mean, everybody has their own choice. I mean, you're your own man. You do what you want to do. But I prefer not to see you guys be like that. That's just my opinion. I know there's a lot of strong people in there, though. Still, not everybody's like that, though, because there's some people that are up in there that are having signs. Like you seen the guy at the jersey that said blank Vegas. You know, other people said no fan loyalty on their sign. So there are some people that are going up in there to cause a ruckus. Because I did talk to people all summer. They're like, we're going up there to start some stuff. So not everybody's up in there to be a stooge for the Raiders and to kiss Mark Davis behind. But a lot of that, you could see it, though. There are people who were standing with us but throw their hands up. Well, there's nothing we can do, so, you know, I'm just going to enjoy it for the last 2 or 3 years while they're here. Whatever. I mean, that's on you. But for me, I just can't. Because I was up at Mob Alley yesterday at probably, I don't know, like 12:30 to maybe 1:30. I wasn't even there an hour. I was able to run in the tour, Cooper. And I just told Grizz, I'm like, I can't stay up here anymore. It just got annoying seeing them people walk around yelling at Raider Nation and all that garbage. It's just not the same. It's just not the same. And these people are in for a rude awakening this year. They just are, though. I hate to say it. They're in for a rude awakening.
How
Feel
so?
bad for them.
Why is that? Oh, by the way, we'll get to that in a second. I'll get to your comments on the game because Bauce and I were trading notes about the game in spite of what he is saying, because he still does follow it, especially when things get screwed up. But I digress.
I saw a few plays though, just because where I was at, I was with some people and they kept flipping it on though. So I got to see some stuff though. Preferably the Raider defense. I mean, but I can't sit and watch really the whole game because I'm like, you know, it is preseason, but then I knew what I was going to see anyway, though, and you know, my suspicions came correct, though. Just a few plays I saw, and then reading, you know, messages from people on Facebook and just hearing people talk in general who got to sit and see the entirety of the game. I'm not surprised, but we can get to that later.
Hey, so we talked about the Raiders' defense, and I really believe, I don't think it's Ken Norton Jr.'s fault. I think he's being directed by Jack Del Rio, but I'm going to amend something. I think that when Ken Norton Jr. was brought in, he did bring the Seattle defense with him, but it's the USC defense. People are still streaming in here to say hello. Chris Zamora says in big letters, "Hey, Zinni and Bauce. Hope everything is well. Raider Libre forever. Stay in Oakland. Hashtag." And we've got...
That was good. It's a good guy right there. Chris is my man. That's Raider Libre. That's my man right there. It's good people.
Hey, you
good
know
people.
what?
Him and his
fiance.
Yeah, fiance.
Yeah.
Yes, Melody.
They were my ride at training camp. Hey, Chris, I want to say once again, and I want to say this, you all are really fine people, and y'all want to get something, I should say, maybe I said I wasn't going to say it entirely, but I'm going to say it. I want to thank Forever Oakland for being real people and possessing of a great set of people who have really genuine, authentic hearts. I will say that just like that. So I know that things the last week may have seemed a little bit rocky, but that wasn't I think it's going to get smoothed out. In fact, I think it's not with me at all, but I just want everybody with Forever in Oakland to know that you can count on me. No worries. Just wanted to put that out there. You know, if there was any doubt, okay? If there was any doubt, I hope not. Now, T. Cooper said, Bauce, we will have a conversation next time we were at Mob Alley. And then Melvin Lovejoy says, defense is bad, tough to watch. JDR will never get it right, talking about Jack Del Rio. And it is a leverage problem. You know, I was talking to a guy at the gym today about our little friendly debate, you and I. And he agrees. He says, look, I coached high school football, and it's technique that matters even more than talent. If they're not coached the right way, they'll never see the quarterback, you know? And I think that's the Raiders' problem, because I don't care if it's the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, or fourth quarter, they're still playing high on the pads with respect to the linemen, as opposed to going low, submarining under, getting in, controlling one gap. It's a matter of philosophy. Let me put it this way. I do not agree with Jack Del Rio's defensive philosophy. I'll just lay it right out there, okay? And I think it's going to cost him some really important games, as if it hasn't already. What do you say?
Well, you know, me and you go back and forth on this scheme talent thing. But here's my thing. Aren't you taught at a young age in all sports certain fundamentals? I mean, grown men who are 26, 27 years old, they should know that the lower you get, there's a certain type of balance.
Right.
And when you get under somebody's pad, you can get leverage. I mean, that's a known thing. That should not even be questioned at the pro level. You got all the way to the pros, and all of a sudden you forget how to do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't really understand that, except that I see a lack of talent. Eddie Vanderdoes is not ever going to be a collapsing the pocket, three technique guy in the 4-3 defense. I don't care if it's Jack Del Rio's defense, Greg Williams' defense. I don't see it. They drafted him in the third round to be this how would I say, havoc wrecker, if you will, just like they did with Jihad Ward in the second round last year. Jihad Ward, remember, he was the man last year in Napa. They were, Jihad Ward, he's just so this, he's so that. And guess what? Jihad Ward got replaced by Eddie Vanderdoes. Matter of fact, he got demoted toward the end of last year, didn't even play in the playoff game, and he didn't even suit up last night. So I'm seeing a problem with that in the middle. And Matt Millen kept saying during the telecast, and just a few minutes I watched, people said he kept saying the Raiders' middle of their defense, especially the interior, does not generate pressure.
No, I think,
understand people.
You know what? Matt Millen watched my video. He quoted my last video verbatim. I thought, dude, they're watching my material. They ought to give me a shout out. I was pissed off, man.
You always want a shout out. You're not getting it, Zenny. Just let's let it go, man. You're not getting it. I know you want it. Man, but they're not going to give it to you, man.
Look, the bottom line is, the game before, they never made that kind of comment. And then I came up with mine, and in the doggone it, they quoted me. Next time they ought to say my name correctly, I might add. So yeah, I don't care what you say.
Well, I'll go back to what I'm saying about the D-line. It's just like there's angles. There's all kind of geometry and stuff you use as far as, you know, in sports, how you want to angle or something like that, though. You do it in basketball, football, baseball, whatever. The Raiders' D-line has one guy that wreaks havoc. His name is Khalil Mack. You saw it when he killed both of those tight ends that are trying to double-team him. But he needs somebody to pressure up the middle consistently so it can shorten the angle for him to get to the quarterback. Let me tell you guys something. You look at Tom Brady in that Super Bowl, those first 45 minutes, Atlanta was giving him hell because he couldn't step up in the pocket because they had interior pressure coming up his ass. Up his behind. My bad, guys. Mm-hmm. The Giants did it in 2007 and in 2011. That's how you're going to beat Tom Brady or Ben Roethlisberger. If the Raiders are talking about winning a Super Bowl, you want to beat those guys, you better figure out how to get pressure up the middle. And I don't see it, and I believe, and this is my philosophy, or at least my thought pattern from my eyes from watching football for years, everything starts with that front seven. And I'm looking at the Raiders' front seven and just reading things. I'm like, this is all Reggie did. He did nothing to improve the front seven. He didn't get – Jelly Ellis is now starting, and this guy is nothing more than a backup, okay? Who's your backup to him? I mean, nobody. Fringe players. We have nothing but fringe players with Mario Edwards, who I think is decent. I don't think he's great. I think he's decent. And you have Khalil Mack, who's a stud. And then Bruce Irvin is okay. But then look at your linebackers. The rookie, he has a long way to go. You have Corey James, who's light in the tail, but has a lot of speed. I mean, they have a lot of issues on that front seven. And then if the front seven is not any good and they don't generate enough pressure, you expect your secondary to be even decent or adequate?
Yeah. And
nah,
so,
man.
I'm sorry. I gotta.
It's not
something like Rick Rice says it's not Jack Del Rio's fault. Rick Rice, you're wrong. Okay. And I know Rick Rice likes to attack black coaches for some particular reason, but I'm going to tell you something. This is Ken Norton Jr.'s first stint as a defensive coordinator. Unless that person has a scheme that's so unique and wonderful, you give them carte blanche. That has not been the case with Ken Norton Jr. This is Jack Del Rio's defense. And Barry Lee asks, well, why is it that Jack Del Rio did well at Denver? Well, wait a minute. Jack Del Rio was the defensive coordinator. And all of you are forgetting one thing. Defensive and offensive coordinators work under the direction of their head coach. It is not always the case that the head coach says to, as for example, Jerry Burns said to Floyd Peters when Jerry Burns was the Minnesota Vikings head coach in 1986, and Floyd Peters was a defensive coordinator. Hey, I just want you to stop him. Because Floyd Peters specifically told Burns, he goes, look, you all 3-4, I'm a 4-3 guy. He goes, I don't care. That doesn't happen all the time, all right? But it happened in Floyd Peters' case. And if you don't know who Floyd Peters, folks, is, I suggest you get to know who the legendary coach is, because he is part of a string of people that contributed to the creation of the defensive scheme that the Raiders use today. It's called the 4-3 under, that was borrowed from the 4-3 under that Pete Carroll uses in Seattle, which is the 4-3 under that Pete Carroll used at USC, which is a variation of the 4-3 under that was used at Tampa when after Tony Dungy tweaked it, when he had Monty Kiffin as his defensive coordinator, who created the 4-3 under concept when he was the coach defense at Nebraska. Okay, so there I just gave you in a nutshell the evolution of that. The Raiders' problem is they play it not as a single gap, but as a two gap. They have the defensive tackles two gapping. All right, so it's an abomination the way that they're coaching it, and now you follow, it's an abomination.
But you telling me the three technique guy is playing two gap?
No, well, hold on a second.
No,
let me let's clarify something. All right,
three technique.
There's different. No. You know what three technique is, right? Okay.
Of course I do. It's they call it the under tackle. Of course I know what that is.
All right, that's
why I'm mentioning it.
That's actually the one technique. Okay, there's different techniques. No. I have the chart. All right, people.
I've seen charts though. I understand. I've seen charts.
There's one chart that deals with it. Okay. My point is that people always screw this up, because if you mistake the under tackle over the center as three technique, that's a one technique. It's not three. Okay. Let's get that straight. They
generally call it.
It's wrong. I don't care what they generally call it. It's wrong.
Oh, you're wrong.
It's wrong.
They call it that.
Why do you? Wait. Are we betting? Are we betting?
Kelly, one of the best three technique guys when they went out there to sign to that ridiculous contract.
Because
they generally call that the pass rush and defensive tackle.
No, that's wrong.
Technique.
You can holler all you want. You can holler all you want to.
You're wrong.
What are we betting? What are we betting? You can holler all you want to. What are we betting?
You're way wrong.
What are we betting? What are we betting?
You're way wrong.
What are we betting?
You thought the 49ers were going to win the division last year, and you said that. Come on, man.
What are we betting? What are we betting that I'm wrong? I can prove it to you right now.
We're betting that in a 4-3, the guy who's considered the pass rush defensive tackle, they're going to call him the three technique guy or the under tackle. That's not debatable.
No, you're mixing things. You're mixing things. The under tackle.
No, I'm not mixing it.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
You're completely wrong.
I'm not.
You're completely wrong.
No, I'm not.
You're 1,000%
wrong. No, you're wrong.
No, I'm not.
You're 1,000% wrong.
What are we betting? What are we betting?
You're off.
What are we betting?
Dude, betting.
Yeah, what are we betting?
Anybody can go look that up.
I'll look it up right now. I'll look it up right now.
Yeah.
I'm looking up right now.
No, it's simple.
Now I'm going to show you right now.
Okay, but listen, listen first. Because you like to go off and just think you're always right.
No, I am right.
When Bill Belichick... No, listen first.
I don't care what he said. The diagram is right here.
It's my platform. This is my platform. Like you said, if you have guests, it's my platform. So check it out. When Tommy Kelly, because the Raiders basically run the 4-3 defense for a while now. When Tommy Kelly signed that contract, that was ridiculous with the Raiders, probably about a decade ago, a little less. What did Bill Belichick say about him? He called him damn near the best 3 technique guy in the league, which I don't agree with, though, because I never liked Tommy Kelly. But he did say it, though. Generally, those guys are going to be that. In Jacksonville, when Jack Del Rio, who had a very good defense, and Marcus Stroud was considered that, and John Henderson, Big John Henderson, a former Raider, he was the other guy who usually took up 2 guys, though, because the 3 technique guy is generally going to be getting the one-on-one in more cases than not, though.
I'm showing you right now. Here it is right here. I don't know if you can see it or not. All right, but you can't see it from your end. I can't turn this camera around, but I've got the chart up right here. If you look on your YouTube, I've got it right here. All right. So, and basically, the Steelers, and every time you play the under tackle, under center, that is the one.
The Steelers are 3-4. You're talking about a 3-4 now. You're not talking about a 4-3.
No. Listen, okay? You're not listening.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
An under tackle over center is the 1. The 3 is over the guard. Okay. That is the way it's set up.
In more cases, with I just mentioned what Jack Del Rio did in Jacksonville. I just mentioned it with Marcus Stroud.
Bauce,
what do you think Marcus Stroud was?
I'm looking at the diagram right here. Okay, the C is a center. That's 1 on either side. 3. Okay. It's diagrammed. It's diagrammed. It's not sliding.
They can slide on the line. You're not. That's not the base of it, though.
It's not sliding.
It is the 3 technique. The
You're wrong.
In the 4-3. No, no.
Wrong.
That's why they call it under tackle, though. One guy's called the nose. One guy's called the under tackle, though. Or with Al Davis, sometimes you have both guys try to one gap, which was stupid, though. That's why Gerard Warren was garbage.
The guy over the center. The guy over the center is the 1 technique. The guy over the guard is the 3 technique. Okay, and that's in the under. That's in the under defense. Okay.
Oh my God. Oh my God. No, City. No.
So what? So bet me. I got the diagram right here. It shows you exactly where it is.
One diagram, and then I can show you another diagram that would just disprove you.
Actually, no, you can't.
I mean, come on.
No, you can't. You can't show me. There's no diagram you can show me.
I just named it. You're using Jack Del Rio. You're using Jack Del Rio, and I just use his example because he's running damn near the same defense he did in Jacksonville. He's damn near running the same.
This is about a history of the 4-3 under. This is a common way that you call it out. It's just like language, man. Okay? It's just like language. All right? So my point is that, what are we betting?
There's no point.
What are we betting? What are we betting?
Well, you already owe me a bottle. You already owe me a bottle of wine all the times I gave you some scoops, man. You owe me a bottle of wine anyway. I mean, you can bet that bottle of wine again, I guess. Double or nothing.
Okay, that's fine. I don't drink wine, so I'm happy to just basically call it a wash. But the diagram is right here.
Now and then, red wine, no white wine, no white wine though. You know what I'm saying?
Call up. You have a tablet. Call up your YouTube, or maybe somebody can text you and let you know that the diagram that I'm showing you shows you the 1 technique is over the center, the 3 technique is over the guard. Okay, the 5 technique is over the tackle.
But dude, you don't understand what I'm talking about. You're going to this diagram.
Right.
I'm talking about in a 4-3 defense, the so-called 3 technique guys, the pass rushing defensive tackle. The Raiders.
Hold on a second. In a 4-3, even.
I'm talking
is
about
an even front
tackle though.
Is it even? No. Is it even front or an odd front?
No. You're not knowing me here, dude. You're not knowing me here. No.
I want you to think.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. Is it even front or an odd front? Do you know the difference?
An even front or odd front?
Yeah.
You talking about for the 4-3 under? Are you talking some Madden crap? What are you talking about though?
This is very standard. This is very standard football. It's very standard football conversation.
The Raiders don't always have somebody run the Leo position. That's what Ken Norton was bringing from. Yeah, they don't always have somebody do that.
No, that's not what. Now you're mixing terms. You're mixing terms.
No, I'm not mixing terms. You're talking about what he brought from USC, so-called Seattle. No, they don't always do that though.
Hey, wait, have you ever played football? Have you ever played football? Have you ever played football? Have you? Yes or no? Have you ever played football? Yes or no?
Younger years. I mean, goddamn it. Not no adult years. You play football?
Yeah, quarterback. Skyline High. Every time you get up, this goes back
you played quarterback at Skyline High.
Yeah, I did.
Well,
and and Coach Fardella, we line up. And Steve Mariucci, who's my friend, will tell you this to this day. The basic question. Call it. We'll call the front. Are you even or odd? Do you know what? Do you know what the difference?
I want to see your high school picture.
Do you know what the difference between an even and odd front is? You don't know, do you? You don't know what an even front is, do you?
You talking about the 4-3 under and the 4-3 odd? I mean, what are you talking about? The 4-3 over?
Just admit it. You don't know it. That's not even front. That's not an even front. Just admit you don't know. Dude. You can't admit you don't know, can you? You can't admit it. You can't admit it.
You don't know. All you do is read some books and think you know it, though, man.
Admit that you don't know.
What do you mean over the odd front? We're talking about what the Raiders run, okay?
You can't admit that you don't know the difference between even front and odd front.
Are you playing with the Raiders run or even front or an odd front? Please,
I'm talking about football terminology. You don't know what an even front is.
I'm asking you. No, we're talking about the Raiders. I'm asking you about the Raiders.
So you admit that you don't know.
You're telling me they're 4-3 under. You're telling me that an even front or an odd front. Tell me what are you calling that though? Because we don't went from what a 3 technique guy is and a pass rush and offensive tackle.
I know it's all confusing to you because you really don't know.
Come on.
It's all confusing. You really don't know.
No, you don't know.
Oh yeah, I know very well.
You showed that you don't know.
No, I don't.
You went and ran to a diagram and then you're talking about you played high school quarterback at Skyline. Yeah. I want to see that picture. Because I've talked to you numerous times. Now all of a sudden,
here's the thing.
You were goddamn like John.
You don't know the difference between even front and off front. The Raiders are playing a variation.
I don't know the difference between.
No, you don't.
You don't know the difference between a doggone 3 technique man and a guy who's
I just told you. 3 technique lines up over the guard, not the center. Okay.
Dude, I never said that. What are you talking about? I never said that, Zenny.
1 technique lines up on the gap of the center. All right. 0 technique. You know what a 0 technique is? Do you know what a 0 technique is?
Yeah, of course I know what 0 technique is.
What is it?
The Steelers have the fat guy Casey Hampton did that for years, though. What are you talking about?
What's the 0 technique?
I just said it. That is in the 3-4. Normally, the nose tackle does that, though. He has either or to go, but he just usually just takes up 2 blockers and allows the guys to come straight, though. Come on, man.
Now the nose tackle. Now the nose tackle. Now the nose tackle can play to 1 technique. All right.
Oh my God, dude.
You can have 2. You can have the nose tackle. Right.
You're talking about a 3 technique, a pass rushing guy, and then you went and talking about a 0 technique for the nose tackle, though. Basically, what Casey Hampton did for the Steelers for years. I can't believe it. We went from that. We were talking about the 4-3 of the Raiders.
No, I wasn't. I was talking about the 4-3 under and how it's structured.
No, you weren't, though. You didn't know.
The Raiders play a 4-3 under. That's what it's called. Okay.
Dude, we talked about that. They don't play that specifically, though. They don't play that specifically.
Actually, they do.
Because they change the shit all the time.
Right.
No, they don't. They change the fronts all the time, though.
But it's still within the variation. They start off. In fact, they start off with a 4-3 under. They started the Rams game off with a 4-3 under.
They have to do different variations of it all the time because the team is garbage, though, on defense. They do different variations of the 4-3. They can't just straight do a 4-3 under, though.
No, they just can't. They have 4 different variations of the 4-3 under. I cataloged them. Have you cataloged them?
You cataloged them.
Yeah. Have you?
They do this. Hey, you know what you should do, though? You know what you should do, bro? You should, get the Raiders playbook. You should really, bring it on here and break it down. I would love you should really do that. Okay. I think
I'll do that.
No, seriously. Not being facetious or nothing.
I'm serious.
I think you should really do it.
Very serious.
You should really bring the defensive playbook and actually break it down, show them exactly, and show film analysis exactly of what they're doing every time. That would be a perfect live stream, though, right there, though. Yeah. Everybody would love that.
Yeah. I'm going to get it. I'll get it. I'll definitely get it. Because the one thing... I'll definitely get it. All right.
I digress. but I digress.
This is fun. I like this. This is better than normal. So anyway... let's see here. Rick Rice says this is the best video blog in a long time. I quite agree. And I think
this is how we got put a disclaimer. Me and Zenny do this about a lot of things all the time, and you know what? I think it's healthy that people don't agree all the time.
Oh yeah,
we get too much stuff where people come on here and agree, and they're so nice to Zenny. Man, attack Zenny, man. It's fun, man. Come on.
It's even more fun when I know you're blankety blank is wrong.
No. It's more fun when I know. You were the guy who said the 49ers were going to win the division last year. Let's talk about being wrong.
Oh, I have no. Hey, you know what? I have no problem admitting that. I have no problem admitting I was wrong. You know why? I was extremely. I'm glad you mentioned that. Chip Kelly put in the worst coaching job of his life. He didn't even use the system that got him there. Okay, Chip Kelly abandoned his own system. I never thought I'd do it. I'm thinking, you know what Harry Carey is, right? Chip Kelly essentially did Harry Carey with his own career. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? And he, you know what? Here's my theory. I have a very sinister theory about this. I think he was directed to do that so he would not have to use Colin Kaepernick. Because you know and I both know that if he had ran his system, Colin would have been excellent for it. You know that. You know that.
I think he'd have been much better. I do agree with you. Chip Kelly went against his own thing because he was hearing pressure from guys like John Middlecoff and people talking about his offense can't work and people have already caught up to it instead of just going to run the damn thing the way he knows how. I agree with you on that. Now, I thought the Raiders were going to be 9-7, maybe 10-6 last year. They surprised me and went 12-4. So nobody's always right though.
But here's the thing. I did say the Raiders are going to wild card, and I hit that one correctly. You forgot that.
Yeah, I thought the Chiefs would win the division, and they did. The Raiders got to the wild card, but Raiders had no business even being at the wild card. But that's a whole nother story. Yeah. But you're right on Chip Kelly. That's why Chip Kelly is not in the pros. I don't think he'll never be in the pros again, though.
Yeah. Never. Why do you say never?
Why
do you say Chip Kelly will never be in the NFL again?
Well, because the thing is this. You have a lot of control in college. I mean, essentially, you are the general manager. You are the program. You're the face, though. You are the face, though, when you are the head coach of a football program in college. Like at Oregon, he was the man. He could do no wrong. He could recruit the guys he actually wanted. Whereas you have a GM or you have people of player personnel, people that make the final decision over you. Whereas in college, he's making the final decision. He's designing, let's say, if they want to run a 4-3 under, if they want to have a guy line up in the 0 or the 1 technique, he can dictate that.
Oh, and by the way, Rick Rice, I'm not wrong. You guys are wrong. So go. All right? So continue.
You say what?
Oh, they're having this little chat, and Rick Rice is like, I'm wrong. Rick Rice, you don't know what you're talking about. So anyway, I've always wanted to say that to Rick Rice. Hey,
guys, no matter how much Zinni's my guy, man.
Yeah, Rick Rice has never invested in my company. I can blast Rick Rice all I want to. Nothing but love. Wait. Nothing but love for Rick Rice, but I'm feeling my oats tonight. It's the ellipse has gotten in my head, all right? So, but, no, it's... and everyone's into predictions. That's all. Part of this is generational too. I mean, all these guys are about predictions as opposed to understanding why things happen. And I'm thinking because like someone asked me, Zinni, do you predict the Rams would lose a preseason game? What are you talking? It's a preseason game. No one is stupid enough to make a prediction about a preseason game. Who does that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, really, who does that? I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. You know? Are you predicting?
Hey, Zinni.
Jeez.
Hey, Zinni. Yeah. It could actually be like guys who bet on preseason games, who bet the spread, who are at the casinos over at Palace Station or something, going crazy like, damn it! You know what? I had the Raiders by 3 on the Rams and they scored the touchdown. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be a fool to bet on a preseason game. I mean, anything could happen. Yeah. I mean, I have never done that in my life. I didn't even do that in high school. I mean, this is like, really? No, I didn't bet on the preseason game. I can say, however, that Jared Goff did very well, but I still believe that Jared Goff is being misused. Let's see what the Rams do, because I have a feeling that the Rams are presenting a red herring offense. What I mean by that is they're going to run something completely different during the regular season. The stuff they're running is too simple to carry it through for their first game. They're going to come out with something big. I don't know what. I have a feeling, it may be more throw. They're going to come out with something big. Now, all right, so let's shift gears and talk about Vegas. Vegas, the Raiders are $815 million in the hole. Right here, all right? And no black folks are going to get jobs out of that. I'm sorry. I mean, can you name one black person that's making money off that right now? Have the Raiders hired anybody black working on that? Do you know? I'm just asking. I haven't seen anybody. You know, the community. They have the community person over there. She's Caucasian female. They have Badane. Who? All right. Who do they have? All right. Who?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, by the way, I gotta say something. Ed Reed, you're right. Ed Reed is right. Two-gap responsibility with their D-line spells doom. And that's the problem, Bauce. They're playing the 4-3 under wrong. They're playing it two-gap, not one-gap. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. We've already went on past that. We're in Vegas. We can get back to defense later.
You got it.
Okay, but, I mean, Las Vegas. Las Vegas history, period, though, man. I mean, when you think of Las Vegas, and I guess, we try not to pull the race card, but it's kind of hard not to because they're talking about minority participation, and so it's all out there. You think of Dorothy Dandridge and stuff, though, they have to drain the pool. I mean, Vegas does have some type of history with that, though. So
they have a deep history.
The Tommy White character, he's known for stiffing people. I mean, there's people at meetings that were calling him out like, hey, you still owe me this X amount of dollars. Why don't you give it to me? And just calling him out while he's at the stadium.
Yeah, it's the same guy.
So
and they also
that's real difficult.
Tommy White is on record for being accused of assault on a black contractor in 2011. And this is a person who's on the Las Vegas Stadium Authority Board. And I don't say this with glee. I say this with sadness because you don't want a situation where it looks like people may be threatened in terms of getting work associated with your project. And here I'm talking about the Raiders with respect to the stadium and the black community. That's a horrible place to be, and the Raiders need to take control of this. Here, let me give you an example of how different this situation is from when the Raiders came back to Los Angeles. Joe Debro, the late Joe Debro, whose son I know actually has some videos here on Zenny62 on YouTube. Craig Debro was on KTVU. But Joe Debro very bravely went out and went to bat for African-American contractors concerned that there was not going to be any work. But unlike what's going on in Vegas, Oakland Mayor Elihu Harris, Ignacio De La Fuente was chair of the council, and others got together a list of black contractors. And what happened was that black contractors, and minority contractors, black and Latino and women, got 30% of the work on the stadium where the Raiders play right now. Right now. So, by contrast, SB1 in Las Vegas says that minorities get 15%, and they're arguing over a 15%, and the Raiders and Stanley Washington's making a pitch, and people getting after him. I mean, that's shameful. And then you've got, get this, Bauce, you've got Latino contractors. One dude said in an article, and I quote, well, you can look at benefit in different ways. We're just happy to have the players go to the high schools. I said, am I reading this correctly? I mean, you're happy that a Raider player will go to a high school and you consider that a community benefit for minorities. Okay. Man, I just couldn't believe what I'm reading. I can't. So,
I mean,
man.
The thing is like this.
Or as Crawford says, Oakland Raider family. Gotcha. I got you, Crawford. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hey, but Zenny,
yes,
we know as well as anybody else, they run Vegas a lot different from the rest of the country. They say things and they'll do whatever it takes to push them through, even if it's not quote unquote the correct thing to do. So all in all, I really feel that it won't even matter about the minority participation. They'll find a way to squeeze it through. I just feel, and it's not right though. I mean, I know you've been in government for all these years, but I just don't feel anything is going to really derail them. Not even something like that. They'll probably put some front though, like, oh, well, we have this, and that will supplement, maybe the losses here,
I don't,
but necessarily not feel the 15%.
I don't for a moment believe
other people have money to stand to gain in this though.
I don't for a moment believe that will be the issue that derails anything. What I'm looking at is the price tag, and this thing is consistently going north. And it's beginning, to me, to look like, do you know what the Fontainebleau is in Las Vegas?
Yeah, I remember that thing. Yeah, that thing never came to fruition.
This is beginning to look like that. because the cost is just being pushed up and up, and Bank of America is not going to cover those overruns. So you're going to start on a stadium, and all of a sudden the money runs out. Boy, can you imagine that Hulk just sitting there, incomplete? I mean,
that'd be embarrassing. That'd be
very embarrassing. It'd be very embarrassing. Sheldon Adelson wouldn't let it happen. He's probably banking on that, thinking that he can walk in with his wealth and fix the thing, which he can do. You know,
easily.
But boy, I mean, it's a travesty.
The thing that concerns me. Well, the thing concerns me.
I got a question for you though.
The price tag does raise. What?
I got a question for you. You know the Raiders from a different perspective. Why do you think that they're going through this?
Through the Vegas?
Yeah, I mean, just knowing, just from what you're seeing, because this is you're right. This is your platform. Why do you think we're being put through this crap?
Because Mark Davis and Mark Bedane just flat out don't want to be up here. I mean, I said it on your show last year. I think Mark Davis, and I don't care what any of you yahoos out there who don't like what me and pro-Oakland people have to say, but it's the truth. Mark Davis wants a certain lifestyle. And yeah, he can fly his little friends, if you will, out here and party, but the LA or Vegas lifestyle is more to his liking. He wants to party, he wants to kick it. Those are places where people pat you on the back if you have a name. And he's never had, adoration from people until he became the owner. And he knows that in those places he can feel like he's somebody. Whereas here, Mark Davis cannot walk into Yahoo or Twitter or, Clorox, a lot of these big name entities here in Northern California and wow the room. Whereas there, he's like, Vegas, they want to be, a big league city and they'll do everything and anything to get there. I'm kind of in the driver's seat though. And he got what he wanted. Like you said it best to me in 2015. And I totally believe it. He is intellectually intimidated by people here. He just can't. He's scared to compete. I mean, you have the 49ers who are nothing to me. They've ruined their own franchise. But to me, it's like he's scared to compete with them when it shouldn't be a competition anyway, because the 49ers have lost so much. But he's scared to compete with them. He's scared to do what's necessary to market, to make relationships with other business entities, to make his franchise big, because it actually takes some work. Whereas I really don't believe in Vegas, him and Mark Bedane really have to do too much work. Mark Davis is reminded, being here in the Bay Area, of him being a nobody, him going to Piedmont High and being seen as a lying moron to people. I mean, I've talked to people who went to high school with him. People laughed at him. Yeah, you're Al Davis' son, but you're a nobody to us. I think he graduated class of 73. Now, whether that was right or wrong, whatever, but Mark Davis is not respected by a lot of people. And Bedane got his job with the Raiders when he was down in L.A. Bedane never really wanted to be up here. And you look at the time frame, look at 2014. He told Grubman he was bouncing. He's like, yeah, I'm going to Vegas. And Grubman thought he was crazy. And, eventually he got the nod to Vegas. But then you heard Amy Trash this week on Damon Bruce's show on 95.7 The Game. There was a deal to be done. And when L.A. lost out, instead of coming up here and dealing and trying to get something really done with Oakland that's to his liking, what did he do? He went to Las Vegas, met with Lynn Jessup and all those officials at UNLV, toured Sam Boyd Stadium, and never ever really took it serious up here.
Amy ought to get on here, because she and I would have the conversation of a lifetime. Because there's one.
Yes, she would.
For a whole host of reasons. Among them, the letter that she sent to the city of Oakland that expressed dismay with the UMAX naming rights agreement and the master lease agreement that then Oakland Joint Powers Authority attorney and executive director Dean McClain mistook for the Raiders trying to get out of their lease and go to Los Angeles. That one I got a copy of, and I called Dina and said, they're not going anywhere. Let's work this out. But Jane Williams, who was the city attorney at the time, and Dina had their own closed-door meeting. I specifically asked them not to do anything because Ellie was in China. They didn't. Well, they kind of didn't listen to me, and then Ignacio wasn't going to listen to me. I had to embarrass Ignacio in the newspaper. He'll tell you that to this day, okay? But Amy and I have a lot to talk about because what I want to ask Amy, and Amy knows I know where the bodies are buried. I want to ask her, first of all, why did she write that stupid letter? I mean, the way it was grammatically poor to begin with. It was 3 huge paragraphs, and it wasn't something that she needed to do. She could have made a phone call and handled everything differently. But had she not done that, it would have been the Raiders would not have spent what turned out to be $33 million in legal fees had Amy not handled that differently, and Amy knows it. If she doesn't know it, I'm happy to tell her. Maybe she doesn't want to come on here and have me tell her that. She can go to several places where people like Damian Bruce don't know. But they don't want to talk to anybody who's been there and knows. Okay, fine. They can keep being behind. But anytime Amy wants to come on and really talk from the ground level of what really happened, she can come on here anytime. Anytime, I will talk anywhere. But as far as I'm concerned, whatever Amy says is not complete until she's talked to me, because all the other folks have passed on. Did you realize that? The people.
Yeah, I know that. You said it. You said it as much to me many times over, dude.
Well, come on, man. Don't be facetious. I haven't said it that many times. The bottom line is
no.
The bottom line.
You said it enough.
Yeah, but the bottom line is like El De Silva. I think Ed De Silva is around, but he's in poor health. Don Perot doesn't want to talk anymore. George Rucasin passed away. George Rucasin, the president, one of my mentors, passed away. Richard Winnie, who led the effort to sue the Raiders and around the Pacific Court, was my mentor. Passed away of cancer. I mean, I can just line them up. All right. So my point is that, hey, Amy, I'm telling you, you want to talk? You talk to the one person who's alive and kicking, who was there, who has the documents and can talk to you, and that's me. You can't talk to anybody else. You talk to me. That's what I'm talking about. I don't care what anybody says or thinks. You don't like that? That's the fact with me. That's tough. You can go somewhere. That's how I feel about it. No, it's just,
yeah, well, but back, I hear you. I mean, you being up involved in it. I mean, there's just intricate knowledge of that the papers from back then can't give you the details of that though. But my thing is the Raiders as a franchise, and you know this, I think they have not done a great job business wise of marketing themselves because Al Davis thought that the Raiders will sell themselves.
Yeah.
And here in California, where there's a lot to do, you have to market yourself. When you look at the other franchises here, for the most part, they're marketing themselves. They're going all out the way to really get your buck and get your support. And the Raiders haven't necessarily really done that. I think they've done a little bit over the years, but it's not to the level of the other franchise. Maybe it's because of finances. I don't know, but they're going to Vegas getting this sweet deal, and they're like, shoot, we'll just leave Oakland behind because, hey, the NFL has our back. And again, $750 million. I underestimated the power of that, but $750 million of taxpayer funds, whether it comes out of a hotel from tourists or not, is still coming from the public. They were able to hustle that with Sheldon Adelson and Harry Reid squeezing some people's, what's, and they were able to twist some arms and get it. So, it's a really difficult situation for us here to swallow.
Yep.
But the facts remain that him and the Raiders front office, they didn't want to be here. Because if they did, Zenny, this, they would have not made excuses. They would not have lied. Because if Mark Davis told somebody, such as Eric Grubman, and he never, refuted the story, that he told him that in July of 2014, if that were true, why did he say to you in San Francisco about, show me something, or we're trying to get something done here. We're really trying to get something done. But then he goes on JT the Brick Show and says he was done after the lease thing. That was 2014. So
right,
you're getting conflicting stories from Mark Davis.
And that's why we have it on video. We have that on video, as you know. Of him saying
and he runs. I think he runs his mouth too much because we don't know. But if an event that some legal action is ever taken, and I don't know if that will be, but if any legal action is taken, his word's going to come back to bite him. You know, you look at recently, I think there was an article that was in the paper down in Southern California. He talking about winning the LA sweepstakes because I guess they have the most popular team, and he's going to be making more stores or I guess more marketing in Southern California, LA and San Diego included. It's looking like the entire time you had it planned to leave here. So if you had it planned to leave here, why have Oakland, Alameda County, and all these people go through all this time, all this effort, spend all this energy and public dollars
Yeah.
to trying to find you a solution, and you were never at the table? I mean, it's just,
What he should have done,
it's just
he should have made an open competition. He should have said, okay, look, here's the time frame. All right. He said, I'm gonna make a deal with you. First of all, if I don't get Carson, I'm focusing on Oakland. Forget Vegas. But he didn't do that. So what he should have done is goes, look, I have an opportunity in Vegas. I have a 5-month window. Within 5 months, I will focus only on you guys in Oakland. Okay? No about nothing else. And if I can't get anything done within that 5-month window, I'm going to work on bouncing to Las Vegas. At least he would have been open. No one can say he didn't tell us. But the situation is that there are 2 primary examples and secondary examples that support the primary where Mark Davis misrepresented his intentions to Oakland. And then not only that, you know, poor Commissioner Goodell, because I believe he was goaded into this by Mark and a faction of owners, because the way Roger was talking about this switched. I have 4 years of commentary about this. 3 years of commentary about this from Commissioner Goodell, where it was, we're going to achieve a long-term situation in Oakland. We're making progress, to where he was denouncing Vegas or anything else, and then all of a sudden, you know, Vegas has a market. And I'm like, and that was last December when he shifted, okay? And I thought, whoa, wait a minute. I haven't heard this before. Where is this coming from? And then Eric Grubman, when I have recordings of Eric first saying, and you remember this, that you don't want a developer because there's another mouth to feed. But then all of a sudden it's pointed out to him, and I did it, and he didn't let me finish my question in one video. He talked over me, and then it was pressed on him again, and I said, hey, and the point is that if you have another developer, it doesn't matter if Kroenke, and this is where it was when Stan Kroenke revealed that he had a mixed-use development which was helping to finance the stadium. What is that but a developer having another mouth to feed for a stadium financing? Okay, well, you can do that. Well, wait a minute. If anybody knows real estate investment financing, I'm sorry, the laws of math didn't change over the last 2 years. You always do that. So they play games like this thinking that people are fools and they can't figure it out, and it forces questions to be hard on them, and I don't dislike them at all. I think they're incredible people. Eric Grubman has a fascinating background. He's a millionaire of his own right. Seriously. Yes, I mean, this is a man.
I've talked to Eric. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. But my point is, you know what I'm saying. It's frustrating.
I do.
It's frustrating to have such people basically talk with you as if you can't figure out that they're not saying the right thing. And it's like, come on, don't do that. Really?
I mean, it is insulting, but then at the same time, and I'm not even trying to play devil's advocate, but the flip side, they're going to always say that Oakland, namely Libby Schaaf, did not give them what they wanted.
And on that,
they would be
right.
I mean, they wanted the land because pretty much they see what's being built down in Southern California with respect to the Rams, and they're basically getting an NFL playground built. And they see how valuable the land is here. They get another playground built in the tech hub of the world. And they're like, shoot, we want that entire land. We're not trying to, 55 acres, whatever. We want all 120 acres because there's multiple things that we can do to keep our dollars circulating for 365 days a year for the next 50, 60 years until the league folds, whatever. I mean, that's what they think. They think long-range planning, and I think, they still use some excuses, though, because let's just say hypothetical that they got the A's off the land, but was there anything in writing, or was it for sure that they were going to do it? Because seems like they did just a 180, especially after the meeting down in Boca Raton or Fort Lauderdale, where Libby Schaff and Boca Raton, where I thought she was going to put a great presentation, but instead she just gave them the same thing that they didn't want. I mean, they sent letters, so I wonder what's behind that. I mean, I've heard from people, that they would say one thing, and then it would basically, Larry Reid told me, I can say that. Mm-hmm. The NFL would tell them one thing and then tell them the other. And so it was kind of a ping pong game of what they should be doing, but nothing ever really got settled.
I know, but here's the problem. They were letting the NFL lead them without asking questions. I'm going to give you an example. I said that, hey, make sure that you don't always follow what the NFL tells you to do. If the NFL says don't give a presentation on your stadium plan, as I told Libby in November 15th of 2015, I said, give it to him anyway. She said that Eric said that they just wanted a market study. I said, well, actually, they would kind of want more than that, but you should walk in with that. She didn't walk in with that. She only did what they asked her to do, as opposed to, let me give an example of the difference. Jacksonville. When I was competing on behalf of Oakland against Jacksonville, Jim Steig, who was then the NFL's senior vice president of special events, the Mr. Super Bowl of his, told me the reason why Jacksonville, he said, look, Zenny, Jacksonville has no business bidding for a Super Bowl. The reason why they're doing it is because they were aggressive. What that means is, hey, look, they might say, the NFL, we can't meet with you on this, you're not big enough. But it doesn't matter. They fight and they sell themselves. And the problem with the Bay Area is the Bay Area, particularly Oakland, does not understand what it means to sell itself to get economic development. It's like, oh, you have to come to us because we're beautiful and we're the Bay Area. But I'm sorry, it doesn't play down there. It doesn't play anywhere else in the country. That's the problem. People want to be sold to. Well,
Well, definitely they do. People, it's kind of like in the dating game, like especially this thing of a woman. Yeah. She for sure likes for you to pursue her, for you to shoot that game to her, get her all buttered up. You know what I'm saying? Women dig that. I mean, I kind of liken the NFL to that, and
that's true.
But
that's
then on the flip side, yeah, it's true. But on the flip side, there are some things that the NFL was doing in itself, though, too, that basically you can't move the goalposts. You can't say,
no, you can't. They were definitely moving the goalposts. But here's the thing. And we talked about this before, you got to make sure that you're not, because look, NFL Legal shot back to me, and that's the first time I've said this on the air, but NFL Legal has told me that they felt that the city was always playing out, Oakland I'm talking about, their negotiations in the media, sending letters to media people before the NFL ever saw them. And these were letters to the NFL. Okay? And so after the vote that night, and I guess I can say this now, fine. We talked about this at the NFL annual meeting party. And I'm not going to say who I talked about it with on the air, but I'll only say this. This person told me that it was a consistent issue. And it was a big problem. And it really bothered them about how the city would play these things out in the media. And it really hurt us. So it's like, if lesson out there to people, if you're going in a negotiation to get somebody you feel is not dealing above board or at good faith, and that's your perspective, then don't you turn around and do anything that could allow that person or group to accuse you of the same thing. And this is also something to be wary of with respect to this legal response we're talking about in the future. I'm telling you, that's going to come back to haunt us.
Hey.
All right? It's going to come back to haunt us. And that needs to be, in terms of strategy, dealt with before we go in rather than after. I guarantee you it will come back to haunt us. It really will.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think we can do blaming and stuff all day, though. Mm-hmm. But it goes back to Mark Davis. The guy just didn't want. Like I keep at anybody, no matter what side of the coin you're on, whether you're going to follow them wherever they go, if you're going to be like me and say, forget you. Where was the vision? Where was the spreadsheet? Where was the plan by the Raiders organization that was ever given to Oakland, Alameda County, or the JPA?
No, that would never happen.
It does not.
Never exist. Oh, by the way, Todd Christensen is a little programming note. Todd, tell Karen she has to change change the wording of whatever she's trying to post. I have keywords. I have almost 800 keywords. If she's using one of them, it won't make it. So tell her just to change it. She can't. I mean, if it's a swear word or a bad word or something, maybe certain names, take it out and just try it a different way. Then it'll get posted. But I had to do that for a host of reasons. I'm just letting you know it's not. I'm not doing anything. It's all the algorithm. But yeah, you're absolutely right, boss. I mean, as to what you were saying, absolutely right.
But it was. I mean, the thing is. This is what kills me, and I need somebody to explain it. If you're on the other side and you disagree with us, fine. But why in L.A. is he pushing for a 68,000-seat stadium? And then he fails there. Vegas, he pushed for 65,000. But yet it's 55,000 here, what he said. He says, I know my market. But yet you say Raider people, Raider fans, Raider Nation, or whatever that dumb stuff is, they'll travel anywhere. So why wouldn't they travel here for a 65,000-seat stadium? This is what I'm saying about him playing games.
And not only that, that's a Jed York issue, because Jed has a Super Bowl, and for some reason, unlike Baltimore and Washington, which have talked about having a joint Super Bowl, they haven't figured out how to share Super Bowls. So Mark, okay, first of all, Oakland and Libby should have just simply dealt with that head on and said, look, we want a Super Bowl. We want the stadium here. It's good for us. But once again, it was a case of, well, we're only going to do exactly what the Raiders want. Well, just don't do that. Do what you want. Be aggressive. Say, look. Well, yes, or be aggressive. Just say, look, this is what we want for the city of Oakland and for the county of Alameda and for the Bay Area, and it's centered around the Raiders. A lot of people don't like that maybe Oaklanders are supposedly talking against Vegas. I say, no, you don't understand. The NFL should like this type of competition, because at the end of the day, it only means we want the NFL in our area. I mean, you don't understand what I'm saying? Which means we want the NFL in Oakland.
We want NFL, but we only want the Oakland Raiders. We're not going to take no expansion team 15 years
exactly,
down the line.
Exactly.
We're not
taking exactly. And for good reason.
Yeah.
Because the Raiders were built in Oakland. The image was built in Oakland. The Raiders are Oakland. I don't care what anyone says. That stadium that they're building there in Las Vegas, that's an Oakland stadium. You could take that stadium, and I say this again for the second night I've said it, someone needs to take that. Dijon needs to take that thing and just architecturally slam it onto the Coliseum property. You know what I mean? That's an Oakland stadium. That would be a wonderful stadium.
Yeah.
That's an Oakland design.
For the most part, with the exception of that abomination in Santa Clara, most new venues are going to be looking nice. I mean, the technology is there.
Sure.
If you have the money, it's kind of hard to not have something that looks nice, though. But with what you just said, in respect, the things that a lot of you guys follow, even if you're from a different area, you guys following an Oakland thing, though. Being against the grain, not caring, and us against the world. That is an Oakland, / East Bay mentality. Because we were going up for years up against, San Francisco, and the prevailing thought that those people were above us and that we were lesser. I mean, this is called the Contra Costa side of the Bay Area, the other side. So you guys are taking on that identity. No matter how much you guys want to hate and talk bad about Oakland, you guys are taking on that persona, and you're going there to Vegas. We already saw them go to L.A., and it was not the same. Matter of fact, they lost their edge, okay? And they've been fighting forever to kind of get it back. And Jack Del Rio, somebody who grew up, who understands the edge and has brought a better attitude towards the franchise.
Right.
I don't know if you can transfer that to Las Vegas. First of all, the thing that gets you ready for a ball game is the tailgating experience. You're not, Adam Candy was on a podcast. Was the Coach's Corner with Tyler Bischoff and Jim Bowler, those guys. He said the on-site parking, the 2,400 spaces, that's pretty much going to be for club suite holders, luxury suite holders, family, media, coaches, whatever. That stuff is going to pretty much be reserved.
Well, actually, here's
for
where
those people.
Here's where he's wrong, because the club, all right, the club seats are going to number about 15,000 total. So you're not going to be able to fit all but the highest paying club members.
Tough.
Right.
It's tough.
Oh, yeah. So that 2460, look, you have to have room for employees. Where are you going to put them? By the time you put the employees in there and ancillary emergency vehicle space, you know what? You're going to have maybe 1,000 spaces, 1,500 spaces remaining, and that's going to go to your very, very high dollar spenders. So so when you look at this at the end of the day, you've been to, the Coliseum area, you can go down there and park in the area. You can go down to the exhibit hall, that indentation between the stadium and Oracle Arena, like that, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, only a handful of people, suite holders, get to park there. That's it. It's going to be that on a slightly larger scale. And I say slightly because it's only 2460 in Vegas, and that's it. That's it.
And see, that's my thing is, how could you, if you're just a regular, what they call an average Joe Raider fan, how could you support that? Oh, as long as you get a new stadium. But guess what? The atmosphere and everything that you're accustomed to is totally going to be erased. Not just even altered some. It's totally going to be erased. You're talking about, people said, oh, well, they can tailgate in the casinos. Man, are you kidding me? Those places have no clock in it, and they have all that distraction to basically keep you inside their casino. So you mean to tell me, and I want somebody to tell me this, you tell me that you're going to party all night till 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Let's just say you're a guy, you meet some chicks, y'all partying and y'all have party favors and everything. You're going to wake up and actually get to that game on time. And then the traffic is going to be horrible, people. You guys got to go to work the next day. You guys all got jobs. Even if you guys don't agree with us, I know you got jobs, you got families. I-15 is a son of a gun on Sunday at about 10 or 11 a.m. So when the game ends at 4:30, maybe 5 o'clock, you got to get all that stench off you from all the alcohol or food or whatever it is, or puke. You have to drive back into California. It's going to be hell because I-15 is a two-laner for a long, long time. There's so much trouble to it. They think it's going to work, but at the end of the day, these people who got a lot of money don't care. I don't think Mark Davis don't care, even though they say ingress, egress, and tailgating was their biggest thing. He said March 21st, or was it March 16th? But March of 2016, he said for any stadium site, that's his biggest and most important aspect of it.
Tailgating.
And
look at the hell he gave us with tailgating. You know what I mean? Got to have the parking.
Yeah.
Can't have the A's there. Can't have the construction. All of these can'ts, but all of a sudden, he's willing to give all that up in the Vegas context, which makes people in the Bay Area who care even more upset and want to have some sort of legal response because they feel they've been had. I mean, on top of all of that is a simple fact that Oakland and its area has already that my estimation, $4 billion of investment that Vegas needs to handle the Raiders stadium and its traffic and the demand already in place. Nothing has to be done. That infrastructure plan was for the grounds only. It wasn't for any other freeway or interchange around the area. And we already had it banked $40 million to upgrade the BART bridge connector there. We had the perfect, we have the perfect plan. We still have the plan. We could fire it up tomorrow. The bad news that I have some very bad news though. The mayor has done nothing, I am told by a very high-placed source, to even get ready. Exactly, exactly. And you're shaking your head no, and you should be rewarded for doing so because that was the perfect visual. It is sad to report that. The mayor of Oakland is doing nothing. We had no debriefing other than the one that I believe, like, I guess I can't mention it on the air, but the mayor has had no official debriefing about what went right and what went wrong. And get this, we're making the same mistake with the A's. We still don't have a plan other than what the late T. Gary Rogers, the CEO of Dryers and a great Cal alum, came up with, along with Doug Boxer a few years ago for Howard Terminal. We don't know what Victory Court's going to look like. I gave a plan to Dave Cavall regarding using tax increment financing. The mayor could have done the same doggone thing. So we are still nowhere. It's horrible. And yet, on a week where Mercedes-Benz Stadium here in Atlanta has opened up, it's the jewel of the community. People are having special TV shows around it. It is tearfully, personally disheartening. And why I'm thinking about, why do I keep trying? Why don't I just move? Because Oakland doesn't care. They just don't care.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Howard Terminal because I think over the weekend, a lot of people have been seeing, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's some article basically insinuating that Howard Terminal is possibly out as a site for the A's. I don't know how true it is. I haven't spoke to Dave Cavill and stuff, though. I got to reach out to one of the external affairs people who I talk to from time to time. I don't know how true that is because anytime they say something is out and I talk to Dave says that's not true. All things are still up on the table. So
the problem is
I don't know, but
it shouldn't be. Dave Cavill is not, with all due respect to Dave Cavill, he is the president of the Oakland Athletics. He is not the mayor of Oakland. And the mayor of Oakland should not be allowing him to dictate land use patterns. The mayor should say, here's a package. It's worth $500 million. You're going here. The mayor said she wanted Howard Terminal. Now she's running for re-election, so she's running scared. And I haven't even checked to see if she has anybody running against her officially yet. I will later. But, it's just really a continuation of the same state of affairs that caused us to be in this situation with the Raiders. I can't say we lost them yet because there's a legal response to be done. But my point is that, once again, the mayor is letting the sports organization lead the city of Oakland by the nose rather than being aggressive and putting together a package with financing to move forward. That's shameful. Well, I mean, I'm talking to you from a place where this place is vibrant. Atlanta, in this area, it's vibrant. And when I went into for the YouTube meetup for our Creator Day, and I'm never, ever less than amazed at the vibrancy and energy of this region that's stealing the movie industry from California, building sports and entertainment facilities, establishing an entertainment industry that has healthy black participation. Have you seen Atlanta on FX, among others? All right?
Oh, everybody knows that.
The stuff that Oakland can do, but we spend a lot of time running away from the black culture we, at one point, embraced collectively. I was part of the Black Filmmakers Hall of Fame. I was on the red carpet. I can go back. But it wasn't black only. Everybody was involved. Lionel Wilson, who was the late mayor, his wife, Dorothy, interracial couple. Everybody was together. That was how Oakland worked, man. And we got stuff done. This version of Oakland, I don't know. I don't know this version of Oakland. It's like they don't know how to do anything. They don't.
Well, Libby's gonna have to do. I mean, not with respect to the A's and Raiders, but even more than that, they have to change the perception because, amongst certain polling, they're saying amongst blacks and Latinos, basically people that live in the flatlands, live in West Oakland, North Oakland, East Oakland for the most part, they do not like her. They don't favor her. I mean, I've talked to so many people, and the overwhelming sentiment is she is the mayor above Highway 13. They don't consider her the mayor of the rest of Oakland. They feel that she doesn't care about the problems of people of darker hues in the city of Oakland. Like there's been certain church meetings, community gatherings that she's supposed to attend, and she always has an excuse not to show. But let it be, something else, though, that might have a certain different type of demographic or certain type of crowd, and Libby would be there, especially if it's daytime. Because sure, one thing, Gene Kwan was not a perfect mayor, but Gene Kwan would have her behind in the deepest of hoods.
Yep, that's right.
At nighttime,
Yeah,
and would not care. And when people see that,
smile in your face, and just by her being there, force you to deal with the fact that she was there. Jean showed up at Art and Soul festivals, had her tent, shaking hands with Sean J. Swanson. I mean, Jean might be a person who has an effect at times that she's dismissing you. She might wave her hand as if she's like whatever, but the bottom line is this. Jean Kwan is there, okay? She was there, and she tried to handle what she can handle. She didn't admit to being the expert in everything, but if there was a door that was open, she never feared to walk through it. And I applaud Jean for that. And I say this because, yes, the mayor is my god sister. But I have to explain that what bothers me is simply that I feel that there's some things that Libby and I really need to have a sit down and talk about. And I think at some point we will. Because I hate to see her go through. Let me finish. I hate to see her go through this. But somebody, and I think it was somebody with Jerry Brown, got to her. Because I said to the mayor in late 2014, I said, Libby, you're not Jerry Brown. Jerry Brown had his time. You don't owe anything to Jerry. He endorsed you. That's great. But it doesn't mean you have to follow his playbook because it will burn you. And that's exactly what's happened. This is a Jerry Brown playbook, and I really believe that. I don't think it's her. I think it's Jerry.
But maybe not. But she's choosing to be pressured like that and not be like, hey, I am my own person. And you know what? You know what? As much as I know most people are not fans of Donald Trump, one thing I'll give Trump credit on. At least he says, I'm the president. And he's like, look, I'm going to be who I am, whether right or wrong. Libby, I think, cares too much about, am I doing the right thing? Instead of, look here, I am doing the right thing. Instead of asking the question, being fearful. I feel that way about her. A lot of people call her plastic. They call her fake because it seems like she does things that people might like. Instead of, you know what, I know this is the right thing. I'm going to do it. Whatever. Boom. Just like the situation with Robert Bob and other people who could have maybe helped with this long before Las Vegas was talked about on the national stage. No, Jerry Brown doesn't like him or I don't want to deal with these people. I mean, I've heard from people who know her besides you. I'm trying to preface how I say my words. that there's an arrogant type of thing where I know I can do this. Oh, I got it. I mean, a few times I met her, I mean, she was nice to me or whatever, especially at the Warriors game I went to when I went to the finals a couple years ago. She was nice to me, but at the same time I was like, wow, that's one woman that thinks.
No, but here's the thing though. She wasn't.
Don't stink.
But early on, she wasn't like that. She called me and everybody when our first conversation after she got elected was specifically because she was going to have a meeting with Mark Davis, and she said, "How should I handle him?" And I said, "Don't handle." I said, "Look, when you walk in the room, first of all, your job is to have a symbiotic relationship with the owner of the NFL organization, that is the Raiders. Sit on the same side of the table, not opposite ends. Get to know him as a person. Have him over for dinner. Make him your friend, because he needs that being new, and you need that being the new mayor to establish a path moving forward." That's the first thing I told her. Okay, but she initiated the call. I didn't call her. She initiated the call. So she wasn't always like that, and that's true for a number of people. But somewhere along the way, what happened was that she got it in her mind, subconsciously, I believe, that was a certain weakness there. Or, you know what I think it was? I think there were a lot of people from different factions. Me, one place, but then Jerry another, and his people, and then Ace Smith is another guy who's been heavily involved in a political campaign who I'm familiar with and I know, all right? They had their playbook.
Yeah.
Okay? And their playbook is poll-driven. And so they started reading the polls. You okay? They started reading the polls.
No,
The polls were saying, "Hey, look, do this." Okay,
that's all.
the polls were saying, "Do this," and the minute the poll numbers came in, particularly that one about the 19th ranking, which I thought was BS, their views changed. Okay, before the poll, Libby was on her way to getting it right. After the poll, no. But see, something else. I've never said this here before. I'll say it again. I've said it is that Mark Davis' treatment of Libby was not what some would want a modern man to be toward an elected official who's a female in power. Okay? And people have mouths, they talk. Oakland is a small town. It gets back to the mayor. So the mayor hears that the team owner thinks X, and therefore she's less likely to do Y. And then the team owner, in this case Mark Davis, does not return her phone calls. Libby has personally told me on 3 different occasions that Mark would not return her phone calls. It is disrespectful, I don't care who the mayor is, to not return the mayor's phone calls because maybe you didn't like something that the mayor said in paper that you could simply smooth over with a phone call. That's Mark Davis's fault. But see, the other part to double down on it is this. You don't get upset with Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf for taking a position that you didn't get upset with Oakland Mayor Ron Dellums for taking, or or to a lesser extent Gene Kwan. But see, Mark would meet with Gene and they would have lunch. And okay, because Gene, and I think this is a way, and I think this alludes to something that you were saying. Gene, if she doesn't understand something, she's very deferential. And she will not make a blanket statement like, we can't do that. She will try to do things. The only mistake Gene made, like with the Warriors, because I heard this from a Warriors high executive, is that Gene said to me personally, I didn't get how important the Warriors were to people. She said that to me. Right. She said that. Okay? Okay.
I mean, some people don't find the Warriors as important as well, but there are enough people that are on this side of the Bay Area that, especially once the Warriors start really winning, that really gravitated to the Warriors. I mean, the Warriors have generally had very good attendances over the last 30 years, but that is troubling to me that a mayor who was claiming that certain players were her favorite players did not know how important sports. I mean, how could a mayor not understand how sports is? See, people think that, it's just a game, these guys get paid. It gives somebody an activity to do, okay? It breaks what you call the monotony. It gives you something to do.
But now,
if you're a single guy, you can take a woman on a date to these games, whatever. You can take your family. It gives you something to do. And when you have less options of things to do, boredom starts to creep in. And then you're like this, why do I want to live in this area? You have to ask yourself,
right?
Let's just say the Bay Area was like Oklahoma City. No disrespect to Oklahoma City, but let's just say if they were like one of these one sport towns, one sport metro areas, and they're like, God, there's not a lot to do. Because you look at the places that have multiple sports teams and got multiple leagues, there's a lot to do. LA, New York, Chicago, Miami, Dallas, Philadelphia, Boston. There are multiple sports and that sprawls off because when you have multiple things to do, you start attracting people. I want to put my business here because there's something going on. And I think Oakland is kind of losing that because in the 60s, when they had the NHL, they had the the AFL, then the MLB, and then, they were attracting the Warriors to come from 1966 on. Oakland was really looking like a hot city or what have you. But somehow, some way, we get to the 80s or whatever, the crack and AIDS epidemic coming down, the AIDS or whatever, it just started tinkering down. And we get to a point now, Zinni, that people think that, as long as we have just certain jobs here, but what kind of jobs are you bringing here, Zinni, What kind of jobs? Are there jobs that are going to employ your people here, or it's going to be like we talked about before, a biotech company where they're not going to hire people that live in who are from Oakland? So it's just a lot of troubling things. I hope Oakland can get it together, whether we can keep these sports teams here or not, because you're gonna eventually in 10 years you're gonna have a city that you do not even recognize. You're gonna have all kind of people who don't understand
10 years?
the swagger.
I
And
think it's happened already. 10 years?
I mean, for the most part, you do. For the most part, you do see it over by downtown. But if that permeates throughout your whole area, man, you are really gonna be Junior San Francisco. You're gonna be in San Francisco's shadow because you're letting all these San Francisco people come over here and dictate how your city should be. I mean, you look at all these mom and pop stores that are shutting down or what have you, and you see these bourgeois $15 sandwich shops, propping up everywhere. And it's not even Oakland at all. It's not even East Bay. There's nothing of it that represents the 510 culture. And, I like to say to Larry, Lynette and Libby and all these other politicians, is getting those extra bucks, is it worth losing your soul?
Right.
And people feel that, and I don't know how true it is, that people have said this, that Libby wanted the Raiders to be gone because she wanted to help gentrify the city more. This, whether wrong or right, people feel like that though. They feel
I
that.
hear you. I think that's the problem is that, and the problem is that. By the way, station note, program note, folks. I apologize for the buffering. It still says very bad connection. I tried to move it from one area to the other. It's also very, very humid here, and I don't know if that's contributing to it. But it's been an extremely humid day. We have the eclipse coming just a few hours, and perhaps those are contributing. I don't know. I was trying to find a place where it could be better, and I'm working as we go. Now, Ed Marshall. Hey, are you the same Ed Marshall that I went to Skyline High School with? Ed Marshall
says that's probably Ed Marshall from Alaska.
Oh, okay. He says so. No one thinks that Al's bad relations with the city didn't set a bad groundwork to start. Jerry Brown didn't help years ago, and I think what do you think about that, Bauce? But I agree. I think that we've had a history, but Amy could have helped out. Well, actually, Amy did help out. But you're right. I think you're right.
I mean, I've met Ed personally. Ed is a pretty cool guy, though, man. We don't agree on all things, but I respect him because he's a pretty smart guy, knows how to at least argue his point of view. But, yeah, Ed, some of that is right. I mean, dealing with Al Davis in so many words, it's been a tough relationship. And then, just his track record, the way he dealt with Oakland, then how he went to L.A., had problems there, slapped Irwindale, flirted with Sacramento. I mean, there was a time, I think, in the late 90s, James Brown was on Fox and was speculating, could there a chance of it being the Chicago Raiders? I mean, Al really had pissed a lot of people off. He would go sue, and then when it was time to, make that corporate dollar or make that extra money to go market, Al wouldn't. And he had a certain attitude to where if he didn't like you, he treated you like a pissant. So, yeah, I think that has something to do with it. Jerry Brown, definitely, who did not really like sports. He has his role in it, though. But there are a lot of roles that have been played in it. But still, at the top of the list, though, when it comes to the Raiders, it's Mark Davis because he's the one who ultimately made the move, signed the paperwork, signed off on the letters to want to go move and relocate out of Oakland at the end of the day.
And we have, I believe, Crawford says, OKC was the reason why Paul Gasol chose. That's a different conversation. Hey, good night, Barry Lee. Thanks for participating. And very much. And Deshaun says, I want Zinni to tell me that. Tell you what. Henry Flores says, and if I say the Raiders go to Vegas in 2 years, the product will be nothing more than a lounge act. I can't see the Raiders. The only difference between the Vegas version of the Raiders and the Oakland Raiders will be the colors. That'll be it. That'll be it. I just money. Look, the average PSL cost there is going to be $4,000 in an area where people can't afford that. At a time when arguably, do you realize that attendance for NFL games has went down 6 straight years in a row? 6 straight years? Okay?
You might as well say 7 because it's going to happen again this year.
7 straight years? Happen. Okay. I mean, it's awful. And then Jerry Jones comes up and says, well, hey, fans that go to the games only 7% of our base. And I thought, God, what a statement to say. Why? why hurt your people that are spending money for your tickets? Kind of like, well, gee, well, who am I to you all? I'm meaningless. I'm only 7%, right? That's bad.
Well,
Wow.
look. All you have to do is look at the character that is Jerry Jones. This is the same man who had a so-called White House for his players to cheat on their wives, to sniff dope, and beat hookers. I mean, and he knew all that was going on. I mean, so it shouldn't surprise you when Jerry Jones says outlandish things or he doesn't care about us small people. Though, so it shouldn't surprise anyone. It just shouldn't.
No, you're right. It shouldn't, but it does. And so we've got. How you doing on time? It's 1:03. Because we've been going through since 11:30.
I'm cool right.
Okay, cool.
I'm cool right now. I got about 30. I got at least 30 more minutes, man. That's good.
Let's call it about maybe 20 because I want to wake up for the eclipse. That's why I got to get ready for it.
Are you gonna look? Are you gonna look into the moon and turn Super Saiyan like Gohan and Goku and stuff from Dragon Ball Z?
No. I'm going to actually.
You don't know
I'm
that
going to
is,
live
okay.
stream because we're only 60 miles from the path here. I mean, we're basically, for all practical purposes, we're a lot closer to the path than we would be in the Bay Area, or you are in the Bay Area. Okay, so and this is twice in a lifetime. Even the last time this happened, I was 17 years old at Skyline High School. So, yeah, this is something to cherish. And so 38 years from now, I'll be, wow. Yeah. So, I'll be.
So I mean, so okay,
Yeah.
can somebody? Because I'm not all scientifically and smart like the rest
I'll
of
be
you
93.
guys.
I'll be
Man.
93 years old. You realize that? 38 years
Oh
from
man,
now.
okay.
Is that right? 38 years from now, I'll be 90. Yeah. I'm 55 now, so I'll be 93. I hope I live
Okay,
that.
so what's this?
Wow.
What's the significance? I mean, for you, what's the significance of this solar eclipse thing? Is this a dawn of a new age happening, or what is people will turn to werewolves? I mean, what's going on with the solar eclipse thing, man?
I'll be 82, not 93 years old, excuse me. What's going on is that it's one of these events where the moon comes between the earth and the sun. So basically
Yeah.
it's like somebody at the football game blocking your view for a little bit. That's basically what it's like. Except it happens to be the moon. And it's what it is overall is a reminder that we are but a small speck in this gigantic universe when something like that happens. Because it's easy to think that I remember we were walking home from Bret Hart Junior High School. We used to call it junior high school, now it's called a middle school in Oakland. And me, Mark and Robert Dupart, Derek Jackson, the late Derek Jackson, a couple of other friends. And Mark Dupart said something obviously by the fact that I'm recounting this story, and we'll never forget. He said, "How do I know Russia exists?" And we were like,
Ouch.
What? What are you talking about? He says, "Well, I don't see Russia. It's not across the street. All I see about Russia is on television. How do I know it exists?" Well, there are some people who have, I call it the flat earth mentality. Global warming and everything else. It doesn't resonate to them because they don't see. Well, the solar eclipse is the one big reminder that we are in a fragile universe, and but for one tick of a gigantic space asteroid here, or maybe a visit from a negative and hostile alien race over there, we would be wiped out. And that's we take that for granted all too often, and we argue among ourselves, and you got these supremacists running around with their nutty ideas, and they ought to be in mental institutions, and it's like I was saying to a fellow earlier today. We've forgotten how to have fun, but I'm glad this is happening because it's that reminder of how precious our place in the universe is. That's how I look at it. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Well, I guess you see, I mean, I know from school they would talk about it with the difference between a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse, but I was like, whatever. I mean, I halfway paid attention to some classes had my attention, but I'm like, people are talking about it more and more, and that it's happening tomorrow, and somebody's talking about don't look into the sun or look into something. I'm like, I don't even know what any of that stuff means,
But you
man.
can
You
make
know what
your
I'm
own.
saying?
You ever learn how to make a keyhole camera or peephole camera? You can make one.
Yeah, I remember that. That's old school.
Yeah, yeah. You can just make one. You can make one. Heck, you can make a peephole camera or keyhole camera with a sheet of paper like this, or a box, and just look through it up there. That's the best way to do it. You can also use your smartphone. Your smartphone is not going to get fried or anything. You have an iPhone. You can set it to time lapse, put it on a tripod, kick it up there, you know, north or skyward, and go for it. I don't know how the sky is going to be in the Bay Area versus down here in Fayette County, Georgia. We're way out from urbanity. No smog, nothing. So I'm quite excited. My mom, she could care less. she's kind of like you. Why is this?
What
They gotta have their.
I've heard and what I
What do you think is going to happen? This is your platform. Seriously.
man, you know what? This is one of the times where Boss is just going to say he does not know. He doesn't know. I mean, we got a little under 30 days.
Shockers.
How many days we got? 25 days?
Shockers.
Funny.
Shockers.
I mean, the thing is, I really don't know because you got people here, in my opinion, in Oakland that, or in this East Bay, they get scared. Well, it's over now. We can't do anything. But it's a citizen initiative. Initiative. It's a citizen-driven initiative, as Godfather Grid says all the time. So we don't know. I mean, they could be like, you know what? If we don't have to, put any money out, and it doesn't cost the taxpayers anything, sure, why not? And you would think if that's the case, if it's not going to cost them any money or what have you, you would think, why not? Because if they were to say no, then all you could say is, okay, is there an ulterior motive at play here? Like, does somebody have a backroom deal? I mean, those questions are going to come up, and those are legit questions, So, I know my guys, we talk all the time, and we meet, and, we just talk about a myriad of things. So September 15th, I think, is the next date to look at because everybody's in recess right now. The county will be back in session, so will the city. So still a lot to be done. I can't necessarily say right now because there's work to be done. And you know that. You've been in politics for a long time. You dealt with them. You never know until you get there and we get to that moment because I use it as an example. I really did not think Trump was going to win. I thought Hillary was going to win just primarily on the sympathy card and the fact that, Donald Trump was a mean bully and he was, he was angry, at folks. So I thought that she was going to win, but, he smashed her in a landslide. He really destroyed her landslide, and we didn't know until we came to election night. So September 15th, we don't know until we come to that time, though.
Well, here's the thing, and I'll tell you the difference between one and the other. And I'm saying this to you. I've said this to Russell Rivera. I've said this to Grizz Jones. I've said this to Ray Bobbitt. You got to make sure you know what the outcome is going to be before you walk in that room. Everybody that has made a proposal to the council that really wanted it done, they knew what the vote was going to be. And the reason why is because they know what the vote's going to be. I mean, there's this illusion that these meetings are wide open and, the public will sway them and all that. Don't believe it. I'm telling you, as a person who's been involved with this since 1993, okay? Either as a newspaper columnist with Montclairian, or as a mayor's aide, or as a consultant, or as whatever. Head of the Super Bowl committee, which is where I really got, my what handed to me. I'm telling you. And that's the mistake that I made. I thought I had the votes lined up, but I didn't count on Larry going south on me. Larry voted to abstain, which gave me a deadlock, which means that there was a action of no action regarding my contract with the National Football League. And I walked out of there and I wrote an email to my board where I accused then Mayor of Oakland Jerry Brown of being racist, and I jumped over a lot. I criticized a couple of people on my board for being opportunistic. And should I have written the email? No, but I wrote it. It's history. Not the first time I've talked about it. You know, it's all over the place. I did that, but it's because I felt that I was blindsided. Was obviously blindsided, but I felt that I was lied to, and in some cases, I won't go any more detail from this perspective. Used. I don't want this group to go through that, but I have a feeling the train is headed in that direction. Okay, I really do.
And it could be because, you know, as you had me on video with Dr. Def and Larry Reed and stuff after Libby Schaaf's just terrible presser March 25th, you know, 2 days before the official vote. And I, you know, now I'm getting on Larry because I talked to him Thursday and I just didn't like what I heard from him. You know, you say, you know, you're doing that. I got 55 acres and we gave him a good deal and all that stuff that he does.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know,
you talked to him last Thursday?
I didn't like what I heard. Yeah, and I was shocked, though, because I'm like thinking, okay, you know, you guys are supposed, every time I talk to you before, months on, we're doing this and we leading that and we getting this together. And at the end of the day, you know, when it was time to flex your muscle, you know, because you guys argued in 2014 summer about the A's lease, and you got to put it in your contract that if there's a deal to be done with the Raiders, the A's legally have 2 years and 60 days to get off the Coliseum land. So that would have been the end of the 2019 calendar year, let's just say. They've been off the land as the NFL wanted, and you didn't want to execute that? I mean, that's what Eric Rubin straight up told me. I mean, you didn't want to execute that or whatever, because obviously the letters show that Fortress was willing, I guess, to let NFL kind of like take over land. And it seemed like, okay, the city was okay with that, but they didn't want to just budge on the A's because Libby Schaaf, and which I begrudgingly heard, and I was the person who yelled at the press conference. She said, I'm not kicking the A's out the city. What city were the A's going to? To me, I felt like, and I said to Larry, you guys just want to keep your power and you just want to still make that money off those 81 dates off the A's. You thought that you guys can keep both teams here. I mean, and he told me this, I think this is pretty stupid, Zenny, and tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Thinking that Baltimore, Philadelphia, or Kansas City, you know, the way how they did it, because their land is not as valuable as the land over here in the Bay Area. It's just not. I mean, that's not up for debate. You thinking of what they did and trying to transfer it over to you is just a bad way, because there's different economics, different political things going on in those cities that made it be, I guess, for it to come to that, though. So I think that was a mistake there.
You say transfer
and so at the end of the day,
I got to ask you. I have to ask you. You say transfer over, what do you mean? Because I know that.
What I'm saying is they were trying to compare it that, you know, what Larry told me was that trying to have two stadiums on that land, he was basically trying to transfer that idea pretty much here, because the Royals and Chiefs share some space, the Philadelphia team shares space, you know, Baltimore. So they were, you know, even Seattle does that as well. But they were looking at that and just seeing as some way of how we can mitigate this. But the MLB, we all know the MLB wants the A's downtown.
Right.
The MLB does not want the A's over where they're at now, though. They prefer them there. And a lot of fans prefer the A's over there, because for this franchise to actually be visible and be on the level of the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the other teams that are big name, the Cubs even, you're going to have to get them an eclectic, unique type of ballpark area that's unique to them, that basically is a shot in the arm to change the fortunes of that franchise. I hate the Giants. I can't stand them. As my guy James L. Richards says,
I'll say
he
this.
says the baseball 49.
Right. I'll say this. I've always been in love with the idea of what's called the mega structure, and that is one structure that houses different uses. But sports organizations today don't want that. And the problem that we have faced for half a generation now, arguably almost a generation, is that Oakland has been under constant pressure to have a baseball waterfront because of the existence in our face of AT and success of what we used to call Pac Bell Park and now AT&T. And so the problem is the tableau is, hey, San Francisco can get its act together. Oakland, you've had a number of bites at the apple to get something done downtown, and you never have. Do you realize that there was once a plan to have the Warriors downtown, Mark? Do you know that?
Yes, I know all about that, and I questioned Larry about that. And, Larry said, there wasn't enough room. You know how Larry tries to shoo you off. Oh, that wasn't gonna work. I was here then. That wasn't gonna work. That wasn't gonna work. That's what Larry did, and I was just like,
Oakland does what it does best. It thinks small. It would have worked perfectly. That was another one of Ezra Rapport's gems, but they didn't want it to work. The problem with Oakland historically is that it has always been ran by people. Well, not always. Since the late 80s, it has been ran by people who, for a host of reasons, have been afraid to do big projects. But it wasn't a perfect problem. It went down gradually. It started really with the Port of Oakland, and the port was always aggressive, but people were always suspicious about the port, as opposed to using the port to help us establish a bigger economic engine. And we've always been afraid of somebody having too much power or money in an area that's known for power and money. Now, as to why and how we got that way psychologically, that's something I could talk about for hours without really getting to the exact why. I know that Oakland has always had a history of being the city that people thought couldn't get anything done. Now, is part of that racial? Well, let me throw this statistic at you and you tell me. I wrote a study for the San Francisco Human Rights Commission. It was called African Americans in San Francisco from 1960 to 1990, okay? And as part of that, what I discovered is this. The normal migration within an urban region, from one county to the next, is from one county to the next. So logically, if I'm in San Francisco County, I should expect a roughly equal number of people moving from, say, San Francisco County to Alameda County, San Francisco County to San Mateo County, and San Francisco County to Marin County, right? Well, guess what? That wasn't the case. In the example of San Francisco County to Alameda County, people virtually leapfrogged Alameda County and went to Contra Costa County. They skipped over Alameda County because of the existence of mostly black Oakland at the time. Institutional investor racism has been the biggest criminal, and I say criminal harm, to the development of Oakland, and it exists to this day because we have this underlying tone that something can only get done in Oakland if someone white is involved. We used to have that attitude when the city staff was mostly black. And then when we get a city staff that's mostly white, you still have the same problems, including problems of them not looking like they know what they're doing. But Oakland, you want to sum up what Oakland's problem has been? It has been about race. It has been a sadly, history. Okay.
I mean, a lot of people like to avoid it, but this is something that, sadly, that you can't avoid. Look at what's happening in our world right now. You're having, marches. You're having, Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, All Lives Matter. I mean, you're seeing the damn near civil war happen. So it's hard to kind of avoid race, even though we live in the Bay Area. We prefer it not to be there, but there is an underlying racial overtone. I mean, when it comes to Oakland, though, I mean, people say it's ghetto and it's trashy, and it's considered, a heavily minority city. It's a brown city, so-called black and so-called, Latinos, whatever. They're heavy in the city and in this area, and people say that. And if you're from this area, you take it a certain way. Like my father, being born at Highland, he takes a certain type of offense to it. My uncle, who lives in Kansas City now, he's from this area, and you take offense to it, and people want to act like that's not what they mean, but that's surely what they mean. How else is it though? They say these loaded words. Oh, I don't mean that. I love everybody. I have a black friend. He skateboards with me. I mean, it's always some mess like that. And until people really stop trying to attack it, now if they attack the politicians, that's a whole other thing. But when people attack the city of Oakland, a lot of times you can just see the racial overtones that are in it. I mean, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. People are smart enough to see that. I mean, if somebody was attacking, like, let's say, Boise, Idaho, oh gosh, it's too stale for me. It's it's boring, and gosh, there's nothing there. The people there and the kind of music. I mean, you're basically alluding to the fact that it's too white.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, let's just be honest. I wish people would be a little bit more honest about themselves, though. But the problem is the world is so politically correct now. You know what I'm saying? And people don't want to be honest. I mean, I really feel that's the case. I used to be on Raider blogs, and people used to say those things, and I said to them, just tell me that you are not comfortable seeing blacks and Mexicans, being rowdy and yelling at the Raider games, and you prefer them to be someplace where you feel comfortable. Just at least say that. And there's been a few that have admitted that to me. And you know what? I can respect that more than somebody who's lying. I mean, who says, I don't feel like that. But
I'll be straight up honest. The reason why I go to the club seats is because I didn't want to be down in some areas where there's some people who they get drunk and they just want to start a fight over nothing. And as opposed to the clubs where I see everybody that I know have fun, I will say this, however, that for whatever reason, maybe it's because I do this, the people who've been down in areas that I usually not used to not go to a lot have been incredible. Maybe it's a demographic change. I don't know. Because when I'm talking about to put things in their, let me put things in their proper perspective. I'm talking about when the Raiders first came back. All right? But over in 1995 to 96, 97, there was a crowd down there that I didn't want to be bothered with. But as the time went on, particularly over the last 10 years, it's been nothing but one love. I don't care if you have a club ticket or not. It's great, It's fantastic.
Me, I used to like the Rowdy Bunch that used to come around. Those guys, they were fun and stuff, though. So, but there was a different element when the Raiders, those first 5 years, those first 5 seasons when the Raiders came back, there was a different element that used to be there. Over the last decade or so, they started having more cops, and they were watching how fans act because, let's just be honest, the Coliseum was not for the faint of heart. It was rowdy. They were drunk. You walk in that lot, it would smell like straight up Indonesia, if you will.
Yeah.
People were
when
doing
I
all
worked
sorts
for
of
Mayor
things.
Harris, I had a woman call me one Monday because someone threw a battery at her 8-year-old son because he had a Denver Broncos shirt on. This was 1997. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
A battery.
Yeah. And we never advocate violence on kids or women. 49ers can get beat up, but that's a whole totally different thing. We don't advocate that. But you know what? In other cities, and the thing is, in other cities, there are places that are way more rowdy than Oakland. I've been told. Philadelphia, they have a jail underneath there because those people are rowdy. The Cleveland Brown fans, rowdy. You look at other places, fights and rowdiness are happening everywhere. So, sometimes when people try to limit it to just such an Oakland problem, it's crazy because the Niner games, even at the new facility, they're beating up each other and killing each other.
Really?
No one wants to talk about that.
Are you serious?
You remember that?
I know someone passed
2015
away.
or whatever?
I thought he just. I thought it was heat stroke or something.
No. they showed you got to go look at it on YouTube on camera.
Okay.
There's a guy. There's a guy. They're in the bathroom. Some dude. They're getting to it. Some other guy came and sidewinded him. He get a sucker punch, and the dude was like started convulsing and stuff though, or whatever. Like rigor mortis was saying, and he was absolutely done. That dude ended up dying though. Man, that seriously happened at the 49er game in like 2015. Like, as much as you might see some people throwing hands at a Raider game, I don't care. You still have not seen anybody die for another Raider fan beating them up or hitting them.
So what was the fallout? This happens. Let's do this.
Because let me take.
Oh, go ahead, because I got to cut out in 5 minutes. That's why I say that. But go ahead.
Oh, no. I just want to say this.
Yeah, sure.
Alcohol affects people no matter the city where they're at, though. So that's if you have a bunch of booze and the atmosphere, the spirit of football is violent and it's rowdy. It's a lot of machismo bravado going on. So, of course, you're going to see that any NFL venue, man. Any NFL venue. But I know we're about to get out of here soon, though. You know,
this has been a good
Lamont
exchange.
Stone, what's up with you, man?
How you doing, Lamont? This has been a good exchange. I loved it, you know. I mean, you're wrong about a lot of things.
Zenny, you're totally wrong, but it's okay. It's okay, my Democrat friend, my Democratic friend, though, man.
I am a Democrat. Are you a Republican?
Democrat.
Are you a Republican?
Huh?
Are you a Republican?
Nah, not even.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, I'm not even.
I mean, it's okay if you are. It's fine.
I'm not a Republican, but you know what? I wish Oakland, or at least this area, had a few more Republicans, so it's just not always slanted for the Democrats, though. I mean, we need some balance around here, man. You need exchanging of ideas. We can't just have one party.
No, not only that. Yeah, well, not only that. You do realize that this homeless creation problem, this homeless problem was created on the backs of Democrats who should know better. That's we could talk about that a long time. Hey, man, thank you for being my great guest. You know, by the way, someone Crawford was saying that you need that I need to let you host. But I remind everyone, Bauce actually is a manager on my channel. He can start his own live stream anytime he wants to.
Well, yeah. I mean, I need to. I mean, you know what, guys? I'll tell you like this. Let some good things happen. Let the A's announce that they're going out the Coliseum, and let's announce that some legal action is maybe being taken. You might see me want to host a show though or two though, because I think we have some good questions, and then I can have Zenny as the guest, and then you know what, he can yell at me and say it's his platform.
Right, and
that's a good idea.
It would still be on Zenny 62, but it would be his platform. He would still have the platform or the spread of our 35,000 subscriber base, and it would be the launching of the Dream Network that I have, that I'm asking people to invest to help get started. So there we go. All right, I gotta get going. All right, man, thanks a lot.
The boss is talking to me right now, the little girl. So I'm out of here, man. Talk to you guys.
All right, man. Thanks, y'all. Good night, everybody.
All right.
And thanks again. I'll see you. Okay, see ya. Hey, thanks a lot for everybody coming in. All right. First of all, I want to say thank you all very much for. Hold on a second. Coming around. Godfather Grizz show will be back tomorrow at the normal time, and sorry about the connection issue. We'll try to work that out. Ironically enough, I've got three bars here, okay? So that's good, but there's a buffering. It looks like it's coming in online, though. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you all very much. I will see you guys, okay? I'll see you guys. I'll talk to you all tomorrow. I'm going to bed. And Andy, as to why the A's haven't announced anything is because they are still playing bobblehead with the city of Oakland and our good mayor. That's the problem. All right, good night, everybody. Watch the eclipse. I'll see you guys. All right, see ya. Good night.